fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Tega Sword Origin from the Action Hero line for #1 Sentai Gozyuger. So I have not seen this form in the movie or the show or wherever it appears yet, but judging by the name, I'm going to assume that this is the original form of the Tega Sword before it somehow became the form that we're used to in the show. But it is a pretty cool looking action figure, I have to say. You can see it's on this giant bubble on card. Over here on the back, it shows some poses here, boasting 15 points of articulation. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. I think it looks great. Gonna go ahead and get it out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here he is, Tega Sword Origin, out of the packaging. And it's a pretty cool action figure, I have to say. I will say, though, unfortunately, as you can see, the legs and the knees are a little loose on mine, which is kind of a bummer. But he overall looks really cool. I like the head sculpt, not much different from the normal one. But the colors used here are great. You have the primarily red helmet and face with a little bit of gold there. Those gold eyes really pop against all the red. I think that looks really cool. Some nice gold paint here on the chest and the shoulders. And then you have these really cool wings. I really like these wings. I think they look really neat. Kind of more of like an angel wing aesthetic to it, which I think is really cool. A little bit of maroon back here, just for kind of like the back of the head and the wing assembly, as you can see. Otherwise, everything is pretty much this like really bright red with just a little bit of gold paint throughout, which overall I think looks pretty good. Articulation, the head's kind of on a ball joint, a little bit of front to back, not too much. Certainly can turn side to side, and you can kind of tilt side to side ever so slightly. You have a swivel here and a hinge for the shoulder. No swivel in the bicep. It really looks like it should swivel right there, but it does not. That is one solid piece. And then you have 90 degrees for the elbow. You do have a wrist swivel, which is nice. Have a little bit of a waist swivel. It mostly just kind of like, it even kind of bobs a little bit front to back, so it might be a ball joint. Just kind of moves around like that, but you can't get a ton out of it side to side. The hips are pretty good. You do have to kind of navigate around this front skirt piece, but as long as you kind of like bring them out and up, you can kick pretty far forward, and you can do the same pretty far back, but then there's kind of a back skirt piece as well you have to navigate, but still pretty good range of motion. Only about 45 degrees out to the side, though, because this molded part of the hip will hit into the chest there. No thigh swivel, but I feel like we should expect that at this point. Bandai Japan hates thigh swivels. They just don't subscribe to the idea. Then you have a knee bend there, which is pretty much 90 degrees. Unfortunately, nothing like ankle tilt or moving the feet in and out, anything like that. It's one solid piece from the knee down, but you can still get some pretty cool poses out of them. You also have the little blade here on the hand that just pegs in. So if we pop that out, you can see it's very simple. There's kind of an indent here, and I'm trying to see if they have it. Yeah, they don't have it on this side. So I feel like this is kind of meant to then like swing inside if you wanted to. And you can peg it in there, and it kind of like doesn't even really fit, but it kind of rests there. So if you want him to like not have it deployed, you can do that. And you can't really swivel it, unfortunately. You kind of can, but you have to play with like this part of the forearm will kind of knock into this piece here. I don't even know why we really need this piece. I probably would have just left it a circle and the blade. That way it could swivel easier, but here we are. So yeah, overall, I think he looks pretty cool. Like I said, the hips and the knees on mine are a little loose, but I still don't have any trouble getting him to stand, so I'm happy about that. I really like the wings. I think those wings are really cool. Of course, we have to compare him to the normal Tega Sword. So as you can see, there's a lot of reuse here. Honestly, I think it's just the wings that are different. I think it's just a different paint scheme. I believe even the head sculpt is the same. Maybe the head is slightly different around the chin. And no, I'm going to say it's the same. I'm going to say it's the same head sculpt. So it's really just a complete repaint with the exception of the new wings. But I think it works. I think it looks cool. I also kind of like how it's kind of a palette swap where pretty much you have gold here with the red accents, and then they've swapped so it's mostly red with the gold accents. I think it works. I mean, some of these parts, like you have extra paint down here on the knees and the forearms and the shoulders where it's like a slightly different color scheme here, and you don't really have as much paint down here on the legs. But yeah, two pretty cool action figures. I do like this new form. I don't know, they are doing like a premium Bandai deluxe version of this guy, I don't know if I'm going to pick that up, so this might be the only version that I get, but at least I have some kind of representation of him. He looks cool. I like the red. I love the like angelic gold wings. I think that's really cool. Not that this guy's wings were bad, but they were kind of more functional because they were just like halves of the blade, whereas I feel like this feels more like wings, and I think that looks really cool. So yeah, just overall, if you have this one, you might not need this one because it's not a lot different. But I think you should definitely get at least one of these because I think they're pretty cool little figures. They could have more articulation. Honestly, I would love it if they had bicep swivels and thigh swivels or an ankle tilt. I mean, that could really, you know, build it out even better. But overall, I still think they're pretty fun. I don't really have trouble getting them in a cool stance. And I do kind of like the bladed weapon. I just wish, like I said, I don't really feel like this piece here is needed because it just kind of gets in the way. But overall, yeah, pretty cool. Like the design, love the new wings. But it's mostly just a reuse of the original Tega sword. Which is funny because this guy is Tega sword origin. Anyway, I think it's a cool figure. I got mine from Amazon Japan. I think it was somewhere in the area of like $25 to $30. So that's something also to consider in terms of, you know, is it worth it? I mean, if you think about kind of like the 6-inch figures that we usually get over here, they're usually somewhere in the area of $25. So I feel like you're in the ballpark in terms of the price, but those figures usually have more articulation and more accessories. So that's also something to think about. But I do think it's a pretty cool little representation of this Robo, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.